Hey, thanks so much for clicking on this video and welcome to the Haves and the Have-Nots review here on YouTube. If you're a fan of Tyler Perry, you've come to the right place. Be sure to click that subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content on the channel. And also check me out on these social media platforms, and links in the description below will lead you to my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook group, and Facebook page. Once again, thanks for joining in and enjoy the video. All right, have and have not fans. Now you're probably confused by this because once again, it's one of those videos where Jeremy, you do so many videos talking down about Candace, and I can't believe you're talking nice about her. Well, I don't know if I can say that this video is me talking nice about her, but I mentioned this in a live stream and it deserves merit. Believe it or not, I still think, and I'm sorry, I'm actually setting my mic up again. I think Candace does love Hanna. And trust and believe her actions lately seem to definitely prove otherwise. But I said this in the live stream that Candace is capable of love, but she's just been through a lot. And I'm just like Veronica giving her speech about the black man and whatnot. I'm not saying that this justifies her actions whatsoever, but I'm just trying to understand the character. Hence why I did that video. What made Candace and Veronica the women they are today? And in my live stream, I talked about how when you really think about it, I think that Candace loves, and I truly do mean loves, Benny, Hanna. She loved her son Quincy. And I think that in terms of romantic interest, in terms of what we saw on screen, I'm not counting Quincy. I think she did or was on the verge of actually loving Oscar. I'm not going to lie. I feel like if his true colors weren't shown, or if he didn't manage to take her million, or excuse me, recover Jim's millions of dollars when he did, I think the story would have definitely went as far as Candace literally falling in love with Oscar. I do not doubt that. But after discovering Oscar's true colors, and to be honest, Oscar to Candace was pretty much acting like Candace did to every other person, I'm just going to say man, that she's conned in her life. So pretty much she was getting a taste of her own medicine. And if anything, I thought those two would have made a interesting couple with Oscar's experience and resources along with Candace's ability to go into places that Oscar can't. It would have been intriguing to see those two actually have an attraction to each other, because with Jim and Candace, it was more like Jim was having a midlife crisis, but seeing the wild, reckless lifestyle he had before Catherine entered his life, and also he saw a lot of himself in her. But with Oscar, I think that it would have been interesting. The dynamic would have been Candace being intrigued because for the one of the, I mean, as far as we know, for one of the first times ever, Candace found herself outsmarted by a man. I mean, with her and Jim, it was always about, one upping the other. We're not even, now we're even. Oh no, we're not even. But with Oscar, I think it was just like a different formula, because truly, Oscar beat Candace at her own game. She literally exposed who she really was to him. And because of that, that's why she became really reserved, and the walls that were around her that were like electric fences were now brick walls, spikes at the top, thorns at the bottom, and everything. It was hard for any man to get in. And I mean, she literally was trying to I guess you could say usurp Oscar's plan of sabotaging Charles's run for the presidency with her own blackmail scheme, and was actually into Charles. But the moment it became clear that it was all not a setup, but she thought she was running the show, but actually Charles and his team were running her the entire time, that's when I feel like the attraction between Candace towards Charles began to waver, because, oh damn, this guy is like 25 moves ahead of me even before I think of my next move. And I feel like that, if anything, that scared Candace to death, especially when, Secret Service was like, let's transfer her to like another country or whatever. And we looked at your laptop and you're linked to a terrorist organization. So, and the fact that she's not the first woman that had to be dealt with, that really scared her to death, the fact that she was no longer in control. But then losing her child really set her on the deep end, and we've already talked about how sloppy she's been. But let me just put it this way. I feel like really her problem with loving men, or not even loving men, but just having to be in control of everything. And like I said, I feel like Candace does love Hanna, Benny, and loved her son Quincy Jr. But at the end of the day, her love for power, money, control, and the life. And when I say the life, I'm referring to her life on the streets, conning people and things like that. I feel like her love of those four things is greater than anything else. And same with Veronica, believe it or not. I do think, despite everything, she still loves David and Jeffrey, but she loves control more. And I feel like when it comes to control, and I'm really trying to break it down for you, you know, not just talking about Candace's relationship with Hanna, but just breaking down who she is and how she got to this point. You know, being a child and being, sexually assaulted by one of Hannah's men. You know, I don't even know if boyfriend is the correct term here. I feel like being in a situation where she literally had no control, she felt betrayed and whatnot, and she felt alone. I feel like that was the birth of a Candace Young who wanted to gain control of her life by all means necessary, and that only became worse as time went on. So in a way, you can almost think that her being assaulted as a child by a man kind of created a vendetta within Candace, where she kind of felt like, you know, she had to get back at men through every extortion, every blackmail, every affair. Hence why she really didn't catch feelings for any of the men that she associated with. Hence why I really wish that we got some background and history about when she first hooked up with Quincy. What was it about Quincy that, you know, made her stuck on him? You know, those two getting into a relationship and whatnot. Because it was abusive, but at the end of the day, it was still a relationship. If I'm not mistaken, Hanna was the one that mentioned that Quincy was like pimping Candace. No. What was it? First, Candace had a pimp, but then Quincy killed that pimp. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's how it was mentioned in like season 2. Because I think that's one of the reasons like Hanna kicked her out of the house, because the pimp was going after Candace, but you know, he was probably going to kill the family if he found Candace at home with Hanna. That's why she wouldn't let Candace stay with them. But then next thing you know, the pimp turned up dead, and I do believe Quincy was the one that did that. I could be wrong, but I do believe Quincy was the one that killed that pimp. Could that have been the start of their relationship, where it's like, you saved my life and things like that? I don't know. It's one of those things that are left to interpretation. But either way, you know, based off everything she went through as a child, that could definitely be the reason why Candace has a problem forming a true relationship with a man, because of what she went through as a child, and then with the pimp, and then with Quincy. So Oscar is arguably the first man she truly became open with. Mitch was probably in that boat as well in terms of love interest. We knew they had a thing in the past, but because Mitch would never introduce Candace to his family, they kind of broke off whatever relationship they have. So once again, because of the fact we don't know much about those two together, I really can't dissect those two, you know what I mean? But I think that that's really how her relationship problem started. And then, of course, you know, being that Hannah's man was the one that molested her, that's why she has such a troubled relationship with her mother. But we've seen gestures of her actually caring for her, like, you know, buying the car, having Erica have Benny tow it and whatnot, then having that be the reason that Hanna gets the car, because Candace knew that Hanna would never take a car that she gave her, because, well, Hanna knows full well the car came from ill-gotten stolen gains. And also, you know, the house thing, there's that aspect of it. I mean, Benny always wanted Hanna to come up with them, but Candace knew that, you know, that lifestyle was moving too fast for Hanna. But also on top of that, even though Candace doesn't want to admit it, Hanna can see right through her bullshit. And we saw this in the last episode when she came in talking mama and whatnot. Like, Hanna knew from the start that Candace was just there to start some shit and get that money. Like, we already knew what it was about, even the lies. But I do feel that Candace still loves her mom. It's just, once again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to understand. You know, instead of doing a whole rant video about how much I hate the Candace character now and how she's just acting sloppy, which she is. And like I said, I've done plenty of videos talking about it. But for once, I wanted to just sit back and analyze the character to try to understand what's going down. Like, again, she's going through this grieving process. She's desperate, trying to get this money. But I don't think that excuses her from sending thugs after her mom. Like, yeah, she did tell Malik not to rough her up too bad and whatnot, just to scare her. But to threaten her with even more guests, come on now. Come on now. So I do feel like, once again, Candace does have love for her mom. I do feel she is capable of love. But based off her current emotional and mental state, I think that that's being overwritten by her desperation, sorrow, and just straight up hatred for people. So that's the end of the video. I think she does love Hanna. Hard to believe, but I do believe she does. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you in the next video.